Hello, my powerful people, and welcome back to Purple RX, my channel. I am Renata, your friendly and resourceful PharmD, here to give you insight, information, tips into how to navigate this health, wellness, crazy world and look at it from a more holistic point of view to help you find out what works best for you and what is needed exactly for you. So, today we're going to talk about a vaccine that's been out for a while. COVID-19 vaccine. I know. I know I'm a little late to the party. Kind of late, but not really late. It took me a little while because I had to really look at this vaccine, really look at the information and look at what the information is that's coming out now and more so on that and just see how it rolls. I'm just not a quick person to judge and put out stuff like that. So, the COVID-19 vaccine is an mRNA vaccine. That is something new to us. Well, new to us. It's really not new to the healthcare world. It's been in certain things. It's been around and it's been studied for probably over a decade. And it's been in, you will see it in cancer and some cancer research and cancer formulations, as well as you'll also see it. They used it for the Zika virus and they used it for a couple of other vaccines, SARS vaccines. So there hasn't been too many that it's used in or it hasn't been talked about enough. But because COVID-19 has hit the world, it has had to be more explained and more put out there and pushed in our faces and thrown at us. And we've had to get it to understand it. And they've just been pushing us with information, which can be a lot. So let's talk about how this vaccine works real quick. We know mRNA vaccine basically is they take the mRNA, which is messenger RNA, and it has the instructions for making a specific spike protein. And that spike protein is specific to the actual COVID-19 virus. And that is what is actually, that spike protein is actually what's found on the actual virus. Because because the mRNA already has the instructions, it does not even need to go and interact with your DNA. I know a lot of people are worried about, oh, well, it's going to interact with your genetic makeup. Your DNA is over there in the nucleus, locked up, chilling by itself. It does not even need to even deal with mRNA or any RNA that has to deal with this vaccine or that's been inputted in your body. Because the only way it needs to deal with it is if it needed to take the code from the DNA to do that, to make another protein. But it doesn't even need to touch that. The code is already in the mRNA. So the messenger already has the code. So there's no need to go get the code anywhere else. So that code is there. It's actually in the cytoplasm, which is another part of this cell that allows it to transcribe that protein, transcribe the information and the instructions for that actual spike protein to put it on the outside of your cells. And those are usually your I can't even get it right. Immunological cells, the cells that are important for your immune system to fight off infections, virus, bacteria, all of that. So, and those are usually called dendritic cells. So it makes that spike protein, and then what happens is after the protein is made, the cell breaks down the mRNA that brought in the information to transcribe, and then it sits on the surface, and your body is like, this ain't supposed to be here. This is not what I know. So let me go ahead and let me start causing an immune system response, which is going to be start activating B cells and T cells and all those things that go around and within your within your lymph nodes and then within that area to start making the actual cells needed to help fight that spike protein, as well as whatever other infection it is comes up. So if your body basically comes in contact with full-blown COVID, it already knows the code to make the antibodies that are needed to fight that. So your B cells and your T cells, your B cells are basically your memory cells that remember, hey, I've seen this before. Let me go ahead and fight that. So sounds basic, sounds easy enough. But with all these things that are being thrown at people, people are getting confused. It's a lot of information it's a lot of information in the healthcare world, but just for any other everyday person walking off the street that has never really encountered, that's a lot of information. When you throw those things in and you hear, most people when they hear mRNA, they're like, well, doesn't that have to go with DNA? Because the basics of biology, that's something you learn. And those are a part of it, but it bypasses that whole process. So sounds great, doesn't it? It sounds easy enough, but there's still a lot more information that still needs to be found out and still needs to be looked at. within these. So that's how it fights the virus. So within this, you're gonna need 2 shots. They say you're gonna need 2 shots because when I was looking at studies, 1 shot is only like 52% effective. And if you take 2 shots, the second shot is almost like the booster to make it more of a 95% effective. So let's look at the history of vaccines. Vaccines have been around since 1800s. Actually, Pfizer has been around since 1882, and they were a part of the eradication of smallpox. They helped eradicate polio in 1994 through their research and through many developments that they made. So vaccines have been around for a long time, and we have encountered them for a long time. But vaccines that we're used to are very different. It's usually you get a small piece of the actual virus put in you, and then your body just basically builds up those antibodies to do the fighting. And with those, you're going to get a little side effects. Just like with this one, you're going to get a little bit of the side effects. So, and what we're used to is vaccines taking, usually in history, they've taken 10 to 15 years to develop along the whole developmental phase, and probably 2 to 4 years to testing and doing research. And the way they have thrown this on us has probably been a bit much. It's a bit much for me. I'm just going to be real. It's a lot to come at and make you say, is this safe? Is this really effective? Is this really going to do what it needs to do? Or is there going to be some kind of side effect? That's a question that everybody is at. And that is nothing but a logical question to have, especially when it comes to medication or putting something in your body. That's a logical question you should be asking a lot of the time on medication, or even certain foods or certain things that you're eating. Is this for me? Is this not? How is my body going to react? So there is nothing wrong with questioning what is going on. I'm questioning what is going on. I'm still looking at evidence and looking at and making sure that this evidence is consistent over a long period of time. So one thing I know, Moderna is somebody that's new. They've only been around since 2010, but they probably had the history in the backing. There's been other people that have worked with other viruses for a long time. That's one I can't totally speak for. But knowing that Pfizer has been around for so long and been in vaccination for so long and has had a history in that should make you feel safe. Vaccines have been around for so long and have shown to help and to help fight and get rid of virus and help remove some things that could have taken a lot of our population out, like smallpox, like polio, like a part of flu. A lot of those they have been a part of. I'm not going to say flu because I didn't see that evidence on flu. But so we speak from there. So I looked further into this one. So in the actual study, I still wasn't like all into this because the study only had maybe 44,000 people. And within that, the numbers still looked really pretty good. So just about half of those people got the actual vaccine. The other half didn't. The way the study was taken, it wasn't double blind. So it wasn't blind to the person giving it. So it still gives, and it can be blind because it couldn't be blind for them because they were really trying to see, is this vaccine safe and effective? Which I get it. But I do need more studies, and I need more a double blind to see what the full effects are. But within this, you only get like 64 people got reported swollen lymph nodes, which is gonna happen. You get swollen lymph nodes when you get any type of bacterial infection, viral infection, low immune system. When my kidneys were failing, my lymph nodes in my groin area were just swollen and hard nodules because they were working overtime to try and we're basically kind of working overtime to almost like attack my body in a way because they thought there was something that was wrong within my body. So that is something that's pretty normal when you're talking about infections, virus, bacteria. And about less than 2% had severe systemic events, and they accounted the systemic events as basically swollen lymph nodes in the same arm that you got the shot, like so in the armpit area where you got that shot. Abnormal heart arrhythmia, that's something to think about. and also tingling in the right leg. Weird. I know. I know. So we take that and that's extrapolated on such a small scale. To me, that still wasn't enough information. I needed more. So just recently, they have done a report, and this is a report based off of the actual, what is it? The vaccine. Why am I doing quotes? The vaccine adverse like reaction report based off of, because they keep reporting no matter if it's a medication that's been around, reporting is supposed to continually go on because anything can change over time, anything can happen based off time, environment, makeup of people, anything can happen. So from December 14th, which is when they started giving, I think, the Pfizer vaccine, to January 13th, at that point they had vaccinated like 13,794,000 people, and actually almost 95,000 people, somewhere around that amount. And so they had probably about 6,000 or so adverse events. But only 9.2% of them were serious and 113 deaths. I know. 113 deaths. So when we look at things like that and you hear about deaths, deaths are going to happen in studies. Deaths are going to happen in just about in life, period. Now, to see it in a study, it's the thing of, is this a death from the vaccine? Or is this a death from the vaccine included with what was going on within their body, within their life? Was this an adverse reaction? Those are things that we still do not know. Those are things that are still not fully investigated. But what they did find out about the 113 deaths, 78 of those people were in long-term care facilities. So they were older patients. They probably had other ailments, and it didn't give quite as many details. So, and then of the 90% that were non-serious, they were mainly saying that those were fatigue, headache, dizziness, pain at the site of injection. So these are all small things that are expected when you see any type of study on a vaccine, on any type of medication. Those sound like great numbers, great reports, great everything. That sounds like something that, like, oh, this is a great vaccine. This is the best. But what we have to really look at in this is, yes, those facts are there, but this has also been such a short period of time. That's something that also needs to be taken account of when we look at this. And 62 out of all of those, 62 reported some serious anaphylaxis. So anaphylaxis is basically a serious kind of like allergic reaction where you get tongue swelling and you get hives and you break out and your throat swells and you can't breathe. That's usually what anaphylaxis, which means that is not for you. But it doesn't tell what these patients look like, what these patients had. It doesn't give any detail within that aspect. So that doesn't worry me. That just shows me that there's some information still missing in order for me to make a assumption. But a good assumption from this is a pretty safe and effective vaccine so far. Based off all that information, there was none that was going to be indicative to give you alarm that this vaccine was going to kill you. So those are the facts. So let's get into my advice. Let's get into how I see this and how I picture this and how I understand this. So, like I said, we're looking at the information, and based off the information, it looks great on paper, and it does look like it's going to be effective. And one thing we have to look at is this has happened so fast because this pandemic has come upon us so fast, and they are trying to minimize the amount of deaths. They're trying to reverse something so that we can get economy going back, not just in the United States, but all over the world. And they're trying to prevent any further harm within the population and just within the world, period. So, of course, things are going to go quickly. Of course, things are going to come out so quick and with so much information. And if they've already been and you got to remember, if somebody's already been, there are people in the lab all the time. In medicine and in healthcare, that's people's job, is just being in the lab, testing, building, looking at new ways to do things. So like I said, mRNA vaccines have been around and been tested for a decade at least. And they've been used in Zeke and other ways. And they probably looked at it and said, hey, this is going to be the quickest way that we can build a new vaccine in order to get it out to the masses. So when we're looking at this, there is so much information out there. There is these facts, but then there's also information of people saying, like, let's see, one thing is like, this is I believe in God, that this is mark of the beast, and that they're trying to track us, and that they're trying to, if they really wanted to track us, I think they're already doing it. I mean, more people have a cell phone than they have gotten vaccines. Vaccines are a choice. Just about every single person has a cell phone. And whether your cell phone is on, whether your cell phone has that tracking on, track my iPhone or not, they can track you. They know where you are. Nowadays, they're even putting tracking devices on tires. So if they want you and they want to find you, they're going to find you. They don't need a vaccine to find you. They don't need a vaccine to track where you are, do this or do that. And we have so many apps and so many things on our phones and so much technology in our homes. Why would they need to do that to track us? Especially when you'd have to do, it's a voluntary thing, and you'd have to do almost a yearly or every 6-month update, depending on how they're going to do this virus, because of the information and not so much information they're still trying to learn from this. So take those things out the picture and look at the facts. If you want to, pray about it. Pray about it and get that information. God will lead you to the direction. And pray about it does not mean you either get it or you don't. Pray about it means just take your time. Take your time. Look at all the information that's coming out. And look at all the information that has facts and numbers behind it. Numbers behind it. Also, another thing that I've heard is, well, it's got to be because Lucifer is in there. Luciferase has been around for years. Luciferase is an enzyme that you will find, and it's an enzyme like a bioluminescence, which basically it's a natural illuminating, a natural light that you'll find, and you find that enzyme is going to be in, click beetles and fireflies. So that's something that is naturally occurring. And all they're doing was taking it to use it to see how they can make this biomarker, how they can make this basically spike protein and biomarker and use it. It was just more so in the studies of it. It's not going to really so much be used for you at this point. So that's something that we have to really look at. Go look up these things that they're talking about and that they say. Go look up the information anywhere. Go look back at dates 2015 before this ever happened. Go look back. Look at the information. Get it. There's information anywhere. They're everywhere. They're saying how this virus came out, how this, that, and this. But what you have to remember is letting stuff like this out. Biowarfare, yes, is real, but letting stuff like this out, it doesn't just affect one person or one country. It affects the whole world just like it did. And so now the whole world has to find a solution. So it can't, people are trying to make this political, and at this point, it can't just affect Black people, or it can't just affect white people, or this person or that person. Everybody is affected within this. Everybody. It just showed you, this virus showed you that there is no discrimination. Even though they try to politicize everything and make discrimination and show their things, it's just showing us where the holes are in our healthcare system, and where our holes are within the world, where our holes are within how much in economically, socioeconomic issues. All it's doing is pointing out those issues that need to be fixed and that need to be looked at within our world, that are problems that we want to sweep under the rug. So now in my community, we don't trust. And I understand why we don't trust. Why would you trust? Why would you trust somebody that has used you in slavery? Why would you trust somebody that has basically used you in the Tuskegee experiment to look at other vaccines? Why would we want to trust somebody? So I get why my community doesn't trust. And no offense, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. So this is what I say to you. Take your time. Look at the facts and look at the information. Look at those people that have taken the vaccine. Look at those people. Look at those people that are white, that are others that have taken the vaccine, and what has happened to them. Don't go off of information of what other people say. Go every day and look up the information, and they'll show you the information because it has to be written down and it has to be recorded. So go and look those things up. Go, and if you need, ask somebody, ask your healthcare professional. Though, ask the ones you trust, and see what it is like, and see what it is what is going on. Look, all we need is herd immunity in order for this to really work and to really be effective. Which means you may not have to take it, but just about 80% of the population has to take it in order for this to go away. And the way they're putting it out right now is kind of slow. So it's kind of slow, and it's kind of ineffective. If there was another variant come around, that other variant could have a whole lot more effect. And there is a few other variants going around. So take your time, look at the facts. Ask somebody around you. I get you don't want to be an experiment. So take your time. I'm not sitting here telling you as a healthcare professional, go take it. Because to be honest with you, I haven't even taken it. You have to remember, I haven't taken the vaccine. One, I'm an immunocompromised patient. So I'm still looking at the facts, and I'm still looking at the information. And as I go, I will work to keep you abreast on information that's changed or information that looks crazy and out of whack. Because trust, I'm looking just myself. I'm not here to be like, as a healthcare professional, you have to take this vaccine. That's not what I'm here to do. So don't just feel like you're having to take it, or don't feel forced to take it. Don't ever feel forced to take anything. If you feel forced, if somebody's forcing you to rush you to make a decision, that sometimes may backfire. So my people that don't trust, take time, build that trust. Take time to figure out, is this for me or is this not for me? And don't just go off of, well, I heard 113 people died. Well, I heard this, I heard that. Look at it as a whole. 113 people dying out of 13 million, that is a 1.6% ratio, which means that is a small percentage, and the thing is, we don't know the full reason why they died. Somebody could have had something else going on, but those details haven't been put out. Again, so take your time. Stop just saying it's this, it's that, and those that are rushing to take it, also take your time and look at things. Look at all the facts. Look at how it's being put out. To me, in my opinion, I also haven't rushed to get it because I believe that there's going to be another round. There's this new variant out, and this new variant, we don't see how effective this new vaccine is with that. Especially, we don't even know how long this new vaccine is going to be effective. Is it going to be 6 months? Is it going to be a year? There's so many more questions that need to be answered. And for me to take 2 and 3 and 4 shots and I not know the effectiveness, and I go out there and I feel that I'm safe and then I'm really not safe, that's something that I still don't want to take the chance in. So continue to wear your mask, continue to take your precautions, do what you do. Just because you take this, because the thing at this moment is, just because you take this vaccine is not 100% sure that you won't get this new variant. There's not 100% sure that after 3 months you may have to get it again and you think you're safe, but you may not be safe. There's so much more studies that have to go to this. There's so much more that has to be looked at and that has to be understood. And if you don't want to be a part of the experimental population, because to be honest with you, this is an experiment. But if we really look at it, medication is a continued experiment. Medication, even naturals, they're all in a continued experiment, because how it reacts in me may not be the same in you. How it works for your mom could be close to you, but it still may not work for you. Like, just like things happen. Like, I got a disease in my generation, but my mom's never had it. My grandparents have never had it. My great-grandparents have never had it. But me and my cousins in the same generation had it. So, and probably 2 generations before my grandparents, somebody had it and dropped dead at 30 but didn't know. So in healthcare and in medication and in viruses and infections and vaccines, you still never know. So my advice is, take your time. Listen to the information, read the facts. Don't feel pressured to go and do it, or do it because your family is pressuring you. Because if you do that, you're going to have some kind of reaction. You're going to have some kind of twitch. You're not going to feel safe. And you don't ever want to take anything under duress or in a stressful situation, because your body's not going to react well to it, because you're already scared and your body's going to already have a scared reaction to it. Your mind is so much more powerful. And that's something that we have to go into. So only do this if you are sure. And if you want to be sure, please look up the facts. Please look up the information, and please make sure that you're going about this from a more well-rounded point of view, not just because somebody said one thing and somebody said another. Don't just look at one piece of information. Look at the whole picture and look at how this is coming, how this vaccine came about, and the real information and the real backstory on this vaccine. And stop going with what you heard and how it's supposed to do and this, that, and this. Because there's always going to be a story out there. There's always going to be some gossip. It doesn't matter. There's going to be some kind of gossip. Another thing that has kind of slowed me down is the distribution of this has not gone well. The distribution has not gone well. It's not gone fast. I have an aunt out there. She's just looking for a vaccine and she can't even get it. And you have to get it in the same place. She's like traveling all over Chicago just to try and get this. And in order for a vaccine to be fully effective or you to get herd immunity, you have to have enough, and you have to have it within enough time frame in order for so many people to get it in order to be effective. Because these new variants, they coming out and they hanging and they chilling. And some people can have vaccines and you're mixing that in with a crowd who's still hanging out and hasn't gotten a vaccine or done. So there's so much more going into this pool. And I do believe that we're probably going to have to develop another vaccine that maybe not stronger, but just a different variant. This thing may be around for a little while. Also, for me as an immunocompromised patient, there's been just so much back and forth. One moment they tell us not to take it. There's another moment they're just saying, oh, we've seen some patients. And to me, that's just not enough information for me to go and just run and jump to get out there and get it. And if you're in the healthcare field, they're not making you take it. Everything is a choice. This is all a choice. But in order to make the right choice for yourself, look at the information, look at the facts, ask somebody, ask a family member. See your healthcare professional. Ask them to give you the facts. Ask every crazy, outlandish question you need. If you need, leave it in the comments. I'm down and willing to answer all of your questions. So look up information, show you the resources, send them to you, see what you need to see. Do what you need to do. But take your time in this. I'm not one of those that's going to tell you, you need to go get this vaccine now. That's not me. That's not what I'm here for. That's not what I'm about. And that's not what this is about. Take your time. Look at the facts. Look at the information. Know your body. Know people around you who have gotten it. Ask them about it. And if you're rushing to get it, I believe you should still take your time and look at the facts and look at the information. Go in there with a safe and clear mind if you are going to do this. Don't go in there feeling pressured, because that's not going to help or do anything. And I also believe that this virus is going to be around. It's going to be around for a good little while. It's going to be around. After about couple years, we'll have died down and we want to do it. But it'll kind of be like the flu vaccine, where we're going to have to get a vaccine. So many people are going to have to get a vaccine every year. And there may be a new variant, because the way this is rolling out has not been the greatest. And they, again, have made this about money and politics. And that's where some people don't feel safe in healthcare, because money seems to be more important. And at this point, I don't want to say that that's why the vaccine hasn't been put out. I don't think they're making enough as quickly as possible. So, COVID-19, trust, it'll be around for a while. So mask up. It's time to start changing your diet. It's time to start really working on knowing your body and giving your body the nutrients it needs in order to be at its best, to fight off infection, to do anything else, as well as take your time with all this information that's coming in. Don't rush. A lot of my people aren't rushing. I already know a lot of the people that a lot of my people, when I say my people, Black people, they're not rushing to get it. They're not in a hurry. And that's okay. There is nothing wrong with that. Take your time. Look at the facts. Look at the information. You do your own research by seeing what happens, because we're only like 2 months in, maybe, yeah, December, January, 2 months in. We're only like 2 months in. And it looks great right now, but we never know what's going to happen. And I'm not saying anything against it, that something's going to go happen or something's going to go wrong. But we're still in a maze trying to get it together. We're still in a maze trying to get it all together and get it all. And since we're not as organized as maybe it could be, because we're in a pandemic and only a few people are doing it, it's going to be a little bit harder, and there's still going to be trying to catch up. So take the time. You have the power. We all have the power to change how we see things, change how we view things. And I want you to view this from a more logical point of view. It's okay to have fears. It's okay to have doubts about medication. It's okay to have fears or doubts about what you're putting into your body. But don't just blame it on this vaccine that you have fears and doubts about that when you're out there putting in fake silicone, or you're out there. Nothing against anybody wanting to get implants or anything. That's nothing against anybody wanting to. But those are also things that can affect your body. When you're out there having a poor diet and eating fast food all the time, we can't really talk about, I'm worried about my body. Look at the whole picture and look at the facts of this. Look at the facts of just about everything. And if you're going to take this approach with the vaccine, start taking this approach with how you eat. Start taking this approach with the things you do. Start taking this approach, that cautious approach, in other parts of your life that have to do with your health, mindset, as well as physical health. So you have the power. We all have the power to change how this outcome is, to change how it goes, to change how we look at things. So be open. Don't just close yourself off because it's a vaccine and the healthcare industry isn't. Get that. I get that. We have been treated like shit. I get it. Oh, I probably shouldn't have said that. I need to bleep that out. But I get it. But look at the facts and look at the effectiveness. But also take your time to see more facts. Take your time to see more that you need to see. Don't rush. Don't let anybody pressure you into anything. Just do what you need to do. You have the power. The power for you is within your hands. It is all in your hands. So thank you guys for your time. If you have any questions, if you want to make any comments, I'm here for comments. I'm here for questions. Like, subscribe, comment, do it all. I'm here. See you guys next time. I don't know what we'll be talking about next time. I'll figure it out. It'll just pop up. Thank you guys.